Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. My name is John Mitchell, and man, have we been looking forward to this. This feels like a milestone. It feels like some sort of a grand opening of some sort. I don't know why, Steve, but kind of gives me goosebumps today to think about kind of a new era, maybe a new way to think about compliance and a new way to approach a new world when it comes to how we do healthcare and make patients safer.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I would call this a waypoint on a journey that we
I like
started.
that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole navigator in me comes out every now and then. So, yeah, we started this thing over a decade ago. I don't know if you remember, but back in 2015, you and I had a conversation, and I kind of laid out a vision for you regarding data and how we could help hospitals. And I remember your eyes got about this big, and you're like, that's really hard. And I believed you, but I didn't understand you.
Yeah, seems like a long time ago. I think today we're going to address. Steve, that was 2015. It really wasn't that long ago, but it feels like another world ago. And we kind of jumped into this. My name is John Mitchell. I am IT support. I am marketing. I don't even know what else I am with MSL, but I've been with Steve and MSL for a really long time. And kind of behind the scenes normally when it comes to these videos. And today I kind of wanted to be on the forefront because Steve and I have these conversations regularly about what it takes to support a healthcare facility and help them move from sort of an antiquated way, potentially, of compliance into leveraging data, leveraging modern tools, leveraging even AI in a lot of ways. And all of that's happened in the last 10, 15 years in a way that has brought us new capabilities, and we are launching them today. And
Yeah,
I'm excited about it.
right now, yeah, I'm really excited about it too. It's been a long time coming. The road has not been straight. Uh,
No.
it has been interesting. We've kind of been down this long journey of trying to figure out, kind of the mission that we've been on beyond, our typical mission. I mean, the overarching mission for MSL has always been, to help hospitals get safer beyond compliance. And so, this has been, how do we support that? How do we make that better? Right. Well, there's a lot of things that have been facing our hospitals. One is cost pressures, right?
Hmm.
And so how can we do what we do? How can we provide assistance? How can we make ourselves available to hospitals in a way that's more cost effective? And one of the things that, from hearing me talk about it for so long is, the cost of travel has just gotten insane.
Yeah.
Look back, and so I just, use leveraging AI. Everybody's doing it these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over to Claude and say, hey, Claude, yeah, what's the cost price increase, consumer price index for travel related expenses for the last decade, and setting 2015 as a benchmark. Basically, travel related costs have gone up almost 40%, 38.7 as a matter of fact. So
I believe it.
it's crazy. I mean, well,
I
we've
feel
talked
it.
about it all the time, and you want to say it's airfare. Airfare actually has been the one that's gone up the least. It's been hotels and rental cars and meals. Restaurants are
Yeah.
much more expensive than they were 10 years ago. So, how could we remove some of that cost? And so that was one of the things. The other thing that we wanted to do was make the education that we provide, which we think is, one of the biggest parts of what we do and the value that we bring when we work with organizations, how we make that more available to more people at a time that is convenient to them. In other words, how do we make it available at any time? Right.
Yeah.
And so we've been, folks, I think a lot of people probably that are watching this have been watching the videos we've been doing for the last 9 months. Gosh,
Mm-hmm.
9 months.
It's been almost a year. Yeah.
Almost a year talking about, mostly about Joint Commission Accreditation 360, about some other things as well. All that has been in the public domain, but it's also been on demand, right? So
Yeah.
if you missed it on Thursday afternoon at 2, you can catch it on Saturday at noon. If that's, what you want. I don't know why anybody would do it Saturday.
Let's hope you're not Saturday at noon, but maybe.
Somebody might be doing it Saturday at noon, right? So yeah, this, like I said, it's really kind of a waypoint. I mean, one of the things, one of those conversations we had. And by the way, I would say that your IT, marketing, your branding, your chief, your our chief pastor, you do a lot of things for us.
MSL pastor.
Yeah, is one of the things that and you've been telling me this for at least 2 years, is that education ought to be free. Education in this era is free. And it took me a while to come around, but I finally caved in on that. And I believe you're right. I mean, just kind of looking at my own life. I mean, I work all day, and then if you know me, I kind of dabble in photography. It's one of my passions. I spend a lot of time learning about photography on YouTube. Right. The problem with YouTube is there's tons of content out there, but you got to be really careful that you're getting it from a reliable source. So the one thing that
Yeah.
what we're trying to do to help hospitals, particularly those that don't have access to internal resources or even resources like us on a routine basis, to have access at any time to the information that they need. Because let's face it, if they've got a question that they need to answer, they don't want to wait 6 weeks to go to a conference, or they don't want to wait 6 months for a consultant to come. They need it now.
Patients can't wait. We need safety now.
Absolutely, patients can't wait, and that kind of dovetails into a conversation we're going to have in a few minutes. But we want to make that education available to them when they need it. And of course, I hope everyone believes that we've established ourselves as a reliable source for that education. You look at our subject matter experts, and many of them served on a lot of the technical committees and have been surveyors for organizations, and we've become very accreditation organization agnostic. We're working
Yeah.
with all of them. We don't care. And so we that's one of the things. So we now, if you go to what we're one of the things that we're really excited about, we're launching, we're calling the MSL ReadyNow. It's formerly known as the Accreditation Readiness Network for those that are members. And for those that are members, nothing's really going to change. Well, that's not true. Some cool stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to see some really cool stuff. But we've got a platform now with a community and a companion application that allows people to go in and get that education when they want it, when they need it. For those that are members, and we'd love to talk to you about what that means. They get even more stuff, right? Including CECs at a ridiculously low amount. I mean, the CECs are basically embedded in that, but they're also getting remote support from our team,
Yeah.
which is, in terms of we're helping them not only answer their questions, but we're actually helping drive their plan, their action plans over the year, and work with them, set some strategic initiatives and goals and objectives, and helping them stay accountable to a certain extent. So pretty excited about how the Ready Now community is going to come about. I mean, it's free. So if you go to our website, mslhealthcare.com, which they probably had to go there to get to the link to be.
Yeah, they probably found it.
They probably found it already. You can join that community for free. And so
Yeah.
all those videos, including this one, will be out there, and we've got great plans for that, and we'll go into a lot of detail for that. But education is a big part of this.
Yeah, and I want to be clear about it too, Steve. I tried to sell you a couple years ago that education should be free. The thing is, education is not free. Even on YouTube,
Yeah,
YouTube has to pay creators in order to provide the education. We want to provide education for free, but it's not free.
oh,
It costs us. I mean, we are investing in this. And I want to be clear. I mean, everyone knows that, but I want to be clear that this is an investment that we believe in MSL is worth it for our end mission, which is patient safety. But it is also how we believe we are going to move people into a modern way of thinking about compliance. You want help? You don't have to wait till June to go to that conference and spend $3,000. You don't have to pay, go through approvals from finance and get a course paid for. We are providing this because we believe you need it now, and we don't want you to have to jump through the barriers that it takes in order to pay for it. And so we believe that investment will pay off in our relationships with you, but also in patient safety and faster patient safety.
right. Well, and that's the big thing, right? I mean, when looking back on my career, which has spanned over 3 decades now, which really is painful to say out loud. But the reality, and I think this extends beyond that. My careers, we've really been working on the same challenges for the most part that whole time. I mean, if you look
Mhm.
at what are the top findings, what are the top challenges in healthcare, or what are the, they,
Same 10 every time. Yep.
so what does that mean? I hate to say it this way, but Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, it's time to do something different. And so how can we impact that? And I think part of it's the education piece, certainly. Part of it is making our subject matter experts more available.
Yeah.
Um, and
Access, faster access, easier access.
for access. And so that's one of the things we're bringing out right now. We've been doing this all along to a certain extent, picking up the phone, answering emails, whatever. But now we are formalizing a true remote access, near real time. I mean, like a 24-hour turnaround, business day turnaround anyway, in terms of reaction from one of our subject matter experts. And the beautiful thing is with the ReadyNow network that we have is we can do that all internally inside that, including video, and it's really, really pretty cool. Um,
Mhm.
the traditional model has always been, hey, we show up, we do a survey, we're there for 3 or 4 days with a team, and then we leave, and then we send them a report in a few days,
And we're
and
still doing that.
we're still
I mean,
doing that. We're
yeah,
going
that's not going
to,
away.
oh, absolutely not. In fact, we consider that the foundation of what we do.
Yeah.
Um, and we want that on-site interaction. But in the interim, between when we're there this year and then we're there maybe next year, depending on the AO, or 3 years from now, if they're on the other AO, depending on the cycles, I mean, a lot of stuff's going to happen, and there's going to be
Mhm.
a lot of questions going to get asked that need to get answered, and we want to be there to answer those questions. So, being able to do the remote support piece, being able to do the Ready Now piece, I think is going to help, people just find what they need, get to the solutions that they need to help their patients much more efficiently than ever before. Um,
So we've got this concept of we have to get faster, cheaper access to help for people. So that's
yeah,
part of why we wanted you here today is to let you know we have been spending tons of time, money, energy, effort, resources, human capital creating faster access to good information that you can trust, as well as a remote, safe way to have a conversation with someone about a specific finding, about, something that is less than just an on-site mock survey type of report, but ways for you to get something between no help at all and we're staying in a hotel next to your hospital helping you. And so that's that first thing that we really want to modernize and help people with is that conversation around how do we get faster, cheaper help as soon as possible.
yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned faster and specific questions because that dovetails really nicely into what I want to talk about next, which is probably the thing that I'm most excited about. And maybe I'm the most excited about this because it's been the hardest thing that I've probably ever been involved in my
It's
life.
cost you the most sleep of any of
The
these.
most gray hair, certainly. I've definitely had hair your color when we started this journey, but we've got something now that we're just really proud of and excited about. And it's called MSL Action Planner, and we'll talk about. Let me first frame up why we did this. So,
Mhm,
for years, for decades, we were doing surveys. And we would go out and we would collect data on a legal pad. Actually, really, for the last decade and a half, we've been collecting data electronically, which is what started that conversation in 2015. We maybe can circle back to that if we need to, but we're capturing that data, but then we had to put that data into a form that the hospital could receive. And typically what
mhm.
that became was a PDF report, an Excel spreadsheet. And we started talking to our clients, and it's like, you know, what is the typical workflow once we are done, right? So we finish the survey, we walk out the door. It was taking us, sometimes a week to get them a report. We really focused on faster than that, but yeah, it just depended on how complicated it was, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but then what we were finding was they would take what we gave them, then they would turn it into another format, sometimes multiple formats. And that would take time. And we had some telling us 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And I remember thinking, wow, we're finding stuff that's serious related to
Mhm.
patient safety that needs to be addressed. And from what I'm hearing is sometimes it takes 4, 5, 6 weeks from when we identify the issue before anybody actually starts working on it because there's this paperwork issue, right?
It just seems so antiquated. Like, in our day and age where things are moving so quickly and instantly, for it to take that long to fix something that's that important feels like it's worth you, sorry, Steve, losing sleep and getting gray hair. We
Yeah.
gotta figure this
Well,
out.
the funny thing is, going back to that conversation in 2015 where your eyes got really big, is what I said to you. I don't know if you remember this, but I said, "Hey, John, what I want to happen is when we're out surveying, because at that point we've been surveying with the iPad and our iPhones for about 4 or 5 years." I
Yeah,
said, I would like for us, when we find something significant, for it to immediately register on a personal device for someone that's a corporate leader or a hospital leader, whether they're 10 miles away, a mile away, or 10,000 miles away, immediately show up so they can see it and go, oh my gosh, and start making assignments and taking action on
yeah,
that. And you're like, that's really hard to do, right? Well, guess what? It was, but you know what? We've done it.
we're
Uh,
there.
and it's really exciting for us. We can, in virtually in real time now, as we're going through your hospital doing surveys, you'll see that data start to populate in Action Planner, and you can create assignments to individuals. And the beautiful thing about it is it's a single source of truth. And it's also an ongoing audit trail, if you will. We're
Mhm.
keeping all that in archives, so you can go back and see. And one of the prime directives for this was we want to be able to look at past history and current to see, are we fighting the same battles over and over again? Are we
Yeah,
treating symptoms rather than disease because we want to cure disease? And wow, it's the few hospital, with any piece of software, bring it out to some folks that you trust and let them kick
yeah.
the tires a little
There's a
bit. And
beta. Yep.
beta, yeah, the people that are using it now are falling in love with it and giving us some great feedback, which is what we hoped for and
Yeah,
expected. And
one thing you didn't mention there, Steve, that I think is really important, and maybe you're getting there, but I think this is a good time, is that, the evolution of what we called Spotlight for a long time, now we're calling Action Planner, it was for our team to better, more efficiently create findings and then create a great report. It's turned into miles better for our team, but then also there is a another iteration of this that has come through this that is on your phone for our clients to use in their hospitals to do their own rounding. And that's where this thing really starts to get some traction.
yeah, that's the part that I think I'm most excited about. So yeah, we're still, Spotlight for us now is a suite of tools. It started out, like you said, as an internal tool that we
Yeah.
used, and frankly, it started because I'm lazy and like writing reports, and I knew there was a better way to do it. And it's been through. We're calling this 6.0, but I mean it's been through multiple iterations, starting with some very very rudimentary stuff back in 2012 to where we are today, which is crazy, complicated, and exciting, and also driven by AI. And what I'm probably most excited about is that rounding piece, because we very intentionally built it in a way that you don't have to know every code and standard in order to be effective. You just got to have a hunch that this may not be a good thing that you found. And if you put that information into the system, if it is truly related to a code or standard, it's going to tell you that. If it's not, and your hunch is still it needs to be corrected, great. You still have the
Sure.
ability to take action on it. It just won't be related to a code or standard. So we're I'm over the top excited about the Spotlight rounding and what it can do for our hospitals. And particularly because we built it in a way that's API ready, so we can communicate with other systems and are already doing that. Work order systems, for example, that just streamline what that workflow. So we went
Yeah.
from 4 to 5 to 6 weeks of people, having just massaging and having version control issues and all that, to instantaneous action and having the ability to communicate to systems outside of our system in a secure way. Having this, again, I've said it several times, but a single source of truth.
Yeah.
Um, so, but also because it just saves so much work. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of work that it's saving people is insane. So,
So if we start with this sense of that we need help for people that's faster. We talked about faster help, quicker, more accessible, less expensive, all of those things. We get into this like modernizing the way we actually capture a finding and report back on it, and we call it action planner because take action on those findings to see them through resolution.
right.
So then the next thing, Steve, that I think we have been so passionate about when it comes to modernizing this whole process is the use of data. So
Yeah.
now we've got these experts that are looking at the data, both the data that they've found in our mock surveys when we're on site, and also your findings that you've created inside of Spotlight, the rounding tool. And now we have data that we can use to talk about problem spots, to talk about comparisons, benchmarking, to
Yeah.
talk about where we see um, just roadblocks and things inside of your own processes. So just talk just briefly about like the way we are just scratching the surface on
Yeah.
that conversation that you and I had in 2015, where you said data is what we're missing. What does that look like right now? And then what does maybe like without making any promises, what does this mean for the future up to it like
Yeah.
this?
Well, so to actually that conversation, what I said, I think was we got a ton of data. And I
Yeah.
know there's stories in that data, but we don't have a
Yeah.
way to tell those stories yet. And those stories are meaningful. And so now we have a way we're starting to tell those stories. We focus so much attention because we had to create the tools that allows us to collect the information, to present the information, and take action on the information. That now we're at that, and that's why I said waypoint earlier. We're at a point now
Mhm.
where we're starting to do the data analysis. But one of the cool things about rounding in particular is we've created this checklist feature that allows us the end user can create their own checklist, but we can create checklists and push them out. They can be internal to systems, they can be internal to people. It's really pretty cool the way it's been set up. But you have the ability to capture good versus bad. So what does that give you? That gives you numerator, denominator. So suddenly we've got the ability to do true, really QA, really quality assurance and performance improvement. We've started surfacing some dashboards, that show things like repeat findings, which is a big one, right?
Yeah.
We can show from assessment to assessment, oh, hey, we found this over and over again, which gets back to that: are we treating symptoms or are we treating disease, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're really focusing on this year in 2026 is how do we do that better? Because that's the end game. Is we want to provide the data in a way that is useful and meaningful. And we've been talking for 9 months, literally, these A360 videos about how important it is to be able to send meaningful data all the way to the top of the organization at the board level, but also communicate that down to the frontline care providers and those that are working within the hospital, maybe in other roles. But we're trying to create a way that makes it easier for especially those people who are out there that are like the quality people that have to manage up and manage down. It's like,
Yeah.
let's give them some tools to create reports that are easy so they can say, here's the summary that the board needs, but here's the detail that my infection preventionist might need, or here's the
Mm.
detail people in facilities might need. So yeah, we're pretty excited. The other thing about it too is with the checklist, we're able to, as we're going around, the country and seeing all these hospitals and seeing what are problem spots, or hearing, where are trends coming from the AOs out there, we can create a quick checklist push that out to everybody that's using rounding and say, hey, go out and check these 10 things, these 15 things, because this is something that's a hot topic right now. Don't wait.
Trends. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then that gives them the opportunity to go out, make sure that they're not going to be the next victim of that, whatever, you know, issue du jour is from the AO. So
Man, I love this conversation. Here's what it makes me feel. We've got all these smart people, present company included. You always play yourself down, but you have been the visionary behind this. But we've filled in all of the gaps between you and me and all of the rest of the people with this expertise, with customers who have helped us, clients who are in the field who have helped us fuel this thing. And now here's what I picture, Steve. You know me, I'm ever the people person that if in the absence of help that's accessible and cheap, in the absence of a conversation around doing better with technology and capturing our findings better and leveraging that, and in the absence of that data, what you have is more individual efforts with their heads down in spreadsheets and in legal pads and in trying to organize, is that this version of the spreadsheet that we're all working from or this version? And all of this time, energy, effort from these wonderful human beings who actually have expertise and they actually care about the humans laying in the beds. Now we begin to take their heads from being down and bring
yeah,
them up into MSL ReadyNow to look at comments from other hospitals and collaborate, bring their heads up to get free education, bring their heads up to a Zoom call with one of our consultants to answer a specific question. And all of a sudden, all the heads come up. And when that happens, Steve, here's my question for you. How will you know that this is working? How will you, at one point, what kind of stories will you hear to go, yes, this is what I hoped we would do when we started launching these things?
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's going to be a very simple one. As soon as I start hearing stories from our partners and clients and those people out there that are saying we stumbled upon or we found an issue that represented real risk to patients or other
Yeah.
stakeholders because we were a part of this community and we mitigated that before anything bad happened. Because we've been really reactive as an industry for my whole career, and we still are to a certain extent. Something bad happens, and then we take action. That's not the way we want to be doing things. We want to, this is a way, honestly, that we can kind of share those hard lessons learned without being too worried about getting sued or the public relations issues that go with it. So one of the things that we can do, and I've been doing this for years. You've helped me, John, put together some of the presentations that I've done, like compliance isn't enough, or I go around
Yeah.
and share these case studies, but I do it in a de-identified way, or it's like these hospitals that are fully compliant still kill people. Yeah.
Mm.
And well received, but we can do that internally with the ReadyNow network, and that's something I'm
Yeah.
really really excited about. I mean, there's so much about it that gets me fired up every day just thinking about how passionate I am about rural health. I mean, a rural health hospital saved my life literally 40 a bunch of years ago, and they're struggling. Rural
Yeah.
health is at really at a point that's they probably haven't seen ever. And a
Imagine
lot
the
of this,
implications of all of
yeah, I
this.
mean, a lot. And so access to care in rural America is a real problem. And those people that work in those hospitals care about their communities, that care about the hospitals, are wearing a multitude of hats. They, when we built this whole Ready Now community and the educational piece of it and the rounding part of Spotlight, in my mind, it was rural health was a big player and who would really benefit from that. And what I mean by that is, for example, these little small 25-bed hospitals probably can't afford to have a survey team come out for 2 or 3 days. But
Totally.
but if we put Spotlight rounding in their hand and we pair them up remotely with one of our subject matter experts, we can really help them do a good job of not only assessing compliance, but more importantly, assessing their ability to provide safe care, and help them, just support them from the aspect of providing education to them that they really desperately need. So,
It's great stuff. We're coming to the end of our time here, and I just want to make it clear. I know this can sound like a sales pitch.
yeah,
And the truth is, there is a little bit of like, you need to be aware of what we're doing, and we're really proud of what we're doing. Um, but also, we're not asking you to for a big commitment. We want to provide as much freedom, free stuff as possible, and as
yeah,
little friction between the help you need and our support for you as possible. So here's some ways that you can engage us. Right now, you can go and you'll see it in the show notes here, or I mean in the chat here. Right now, you can go out to the link that will allow you to get a free account with ReadyNow, which will give you access to our recorded webinars. It will give you some access to some free resources, to our podcast video stuff, which is really fun. And will also allow you to kind of follow along with the announcements and the updates to our software and all of those things. You can also just go listen to our podcast, Compliance for the Sake of the Patient, where we're going to continue to pick at some of these things that need to be modernized and talk about how we can engage in the community in that way. You can also, if there's something you've heard that said, "Hey, I'd be interested in this new way of doing things," MSL Ready Now sounds like something that I could get into. Feel free to just go out to our website, and you'll also see the link here in the chat. Just go out to the website and schedule a call, and we can kind of talk to you about your needs and about how we might be able to customize something. We've got uh, a whole new website we've launched, and it's been in its own birth pains. Getting that out to make sure that we can make this as yeah, we can make this as palatable as possible for you, the decision makers around you, to be able to create as little friction as possible in helping you support safer patient environments. Steve, I'm really excited about this. I do feel like this is a moment of that we've been trying to come to fruition for 10, 12, 15 years now. And it
yeah.
feels like today's the day. So
I mean, it does. I mean, absolutely. And the thing is, it's like I said, it's a waypoint. I mean, we're going to keep on moving on this journey, and getting better and better every day, and that's exciting too. But to get to this point where we can now make this available to everyone, and it's really built with the intention of supporting systems, supporting individual hospitals. I mean, it's meets everybody's needs, we hope. And the one thing I would add to what you said about communicating with us inside the community, we'd love to get your ideas on what kind of education do you want and need, you know,
yeah,
because we could try to come up with a lot of ideas, and we do, but the best ones come from when we have hospitals. Hey, you got to do something on
real
blah.
world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, so
Absolutely. Well, feel free to join the community, follow along. If you're the kind of person that is slow to commit, that's great. This is perfect for you. You can get in, follow along. Our ATV, I call it ATV. That's kind of our inside word for it. It's accreditation television. Comes out every 2 weeks, and it is free. You can jump into the platform, register for one of those, and you'll get an email once a week letting you know what's coming next and opportunities to register for that, all for free. And help us create a community that supports patient safety using the tools that are available to us in a modern world. Steve, appreciate your leadership. Always fun to have the conversation,
yeah.
and look forward to what's next.
Well, I appreciate all the hard work because you made a lot of this happen. So I just come up with crazy ideas, and I go, John.
I know. I'm expecting a phone call tomorrow for what's next. So
Yeah,
stay tuned.
tomorrow. What do you mean? We're getting ready to hang up here in a minute.
That's probably true. Hey,
So,
thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate your work. Appreciate your attention today, and look forward to the chance to meeting all of you real soon. Stay tuned. More changes coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Steve.
thank you.